Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We are in the last stretch just before Christmas 2020 and I have so many cards that I need to make. And the only way I can actually finish on time is to decide on the design up front and to do a lot of cards like in a conveyor belt style. This year I am going to use a combination of stamps and also watercolor, like handmade cards. And the stamps that I'm going to use are mainly for the sentiments because I'm not yet there with my handwriting, nowhere near where I wish I would be. However, in today's video, we're going to see how easy it is to make just 5 cards for Christmas that have a floral element. So it's going to be lots of flowers, just very easy, loosely painted. There's no lines necessary, there's no drawing necessary. And we're going to do them one after the other. And for me, it took about an hour. So it's super easy to do. And the results are really amazing. The only thing that we have going for us is to choose a winter watercolor palette. So the colors needs to be more muted and more colder, not the warm colors that you would normally do because you want to signify that outside is winter. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one and I catch you back at the end. Thank you. So I started with just stamp set from Micron that I had for like forever. And I stamped with VersaFine Onyx Black ink on all the cards, the sentiment, and it was either Deck the Halls or Jolly, Holy, something. And I stamped it like in the lower third half, and I was planning to do all the flowers all around it to the corner. So I'm going to leave the upper corner free of anything, and I'm just going around and drawing very simple shapes, very simple flowers. And the first one that I chose is kind of a rose, and what you need to do is like go small circles that are like catching up each other, like semicircles, and then with the belly of the brush you start with like small line, small petal, belly of the brush, bigger, and then small again. So you do this kind of semicircle motion. And I believe that the actual rose it's very simple to make, and at the end I was just adding extra color just to make kind of where the light will come and where the shadows will come. I have like a very dark green and pretty muted, and on the side of the leaves I tried to do a cedar fig. And then on the other side it was just the pine that has really lots of needles that go around. So I was just on the spot creating like whatever flowers or leaves I thought would need, and then I add also some berries and some more interest with the red berries, and I'm just trying to deepen all the colors. Once this is dry, and I was just waiting for it to dry a little bit, I will add the lines and the details on the leaves itself, and that's about it. So pretty simple. You just have to go around the sentiment and add with the brush. So I'm using the same brush, I think it's a number 5 from Van Gogh, if I'm not mistaken. And I was actually pretty much having fun. I was actually eating nuts and watching some other YouTube videos while I was drawing this because, well, let's face it, even masters like it. I was trying to go for more of a contrast, so I added that yellow flower because it was a little bit too, let's say, muted. But basically this is very simple Christmassy design, or not even Christmassy, I would say that it's like a winter design. It has some blue leaves, some really like even brown leaves, and the red of the flowers are really nice. And now I'm going to the second one. Notice how I don't even bother to tape the paper all the way. These are just some scrap artist papers that I had after I did all the Inktober drawings. I was cutting the papers for the Inktober at a certain size, and then I was left always with this tinier version of the card at the end. So I have about 30 of them or even more, And I was thinking, well, since I have them and I'm not going to use them for anything else, I'm just going to make cards out of them because the paper is really good, and everything flows really nice. I have to say though that using cold press paper can be sometimes tricky whenever you want to do this kind of flowy watercolors. Why? Because the paper has texture and the paper is sometimes resisting your brush stroke, let's put it this way. So you either have to have a very big brush to get a really good flow for the leaves, and maybe next time I will try to have the big brush. You never know. Otherwise, I would suggest that you use maybe not cold press, but use hot press. On this one, I again added a really nice yellow flower. This is really easy to do, as in I'm just doing some 4 strokes with a brush and I'm tucking in a flower, and I'm always leaving the center white and I'm not touching it. This time I did the sprig with the blue because I thought, okay, that's a nice little color and something nice to like pop and to signify the winter, right? Blue is more like wintry, and then I'm adding also some more blue leaves all around. And I decided that this one needed actually even a red flower just to have some color pop, and the center I always add brown. So this kind of finalizes my second card. Well, it's just the card front. All I need to do now is cut it to the size that I want, and then just adhere it to a base card, right? So I'm making all of these ones like kind of conveyor style belt, and I'm just letting them dry on the side, and at the end I'm just going to cut them to size. Now I'm on my third one, and I was like, I'm always trying to decide what type of colors I should use and what palettes. So this time I went with a purple. Again, pretty muted. The way you mute purples, this was like permanent magenta. Usually permanent magenta can be very like very purple. The way you mute the purple is you add brown to it, a little bit of brown, and then it muted. So I also did the leaves with blue, and this is like really nice, and it gives like an icy feeling to this card. And then I did some more leaves with green. The colors really go very well together. I'm just was waiting for that magenta to dry out to add more color and more definition, but now I'm going with my usual pine tree, and I'm just making like very fast lines with the tip of the brush, and these lines are going to make all these pine needles in all sorts of directions. So pretty easy. I'm deepening some of the colors. You see now that I use the real magenta color, and that is like super bright, so initially I just muted it. This one again, I'm adding just a very simple flower, 4 petals tucked in, and I use yellow. I always want a little bit of pop of color, so not to make it too boring. So I'm adding also lots of red dots. You notice that I'm using the wrong brush here, because if you really want to make something round, you should not use a very pointy brush. You should use a round brush, but with a round tip as well. And these are 2 types of let's say brushes in watercolor. They're both called round, but the tip is different. So whenever I want to make like those dots for the berries, next time I should use a different brush, because it can be quite tricky to do the round things with a pointy brush. But I use the pointy brush because it's very easy to do the pine needles all around. So yeah, just like depending on what you choose, it can be easier or harder to do. Now this I was really enjoying now, and I am almost at the end. I've only decided to do 5 cards on this style, so I made myself 5 types of designs, and this was one of the designs. I didn't necessarily care I just knew that it had to have some flowers and some leaves. That was the design that I made in my sketchbook, and I'm just going to continue using this design. But then I have 5 other designs, totally different, like with snowmen and other things that I want to make videos of. And those designs are again going to be 5 cards and 5 cards. So that should give me enough cards to send around, and I'll send to some colleagues and some friends some cards for Christmas, because I like to give them something that I made personally. And yeah, I actually, maybe they can even watch the video and see how much fun I had. And you know, it was pretty relaxing. I even forgot about the time and about anything. I wasn't really thinking about that I was making a video. At one moment I even forgot that I was filming. So I was just like having fun and not necessarily caring about the end result, but it was just like super fun because I like how the colors play together, and I like how like the blue was working. And I used which blues did I use? I remember I used it was probably the cobalt blue with a little bit of Payne's gray. So in order to make cobalt blue more like stormy, because cobalt blue can be very powerful, you just add an extra color like a gray and you mute it down, just like you would add to magenta or brown to mute it down. You would add a gray to blue to mute it down. So like, yeah, you can add different colors, but this is how I prefer to do it. Now this was one of the last ones, and I was thinking like which type of flower to do, and I came up with like, oh, I haven't done a kind of cosmos flower in a very long time. So I mixed together some colors. I believe it was a lot of buff titanium and a little bit of red, and I came up with this cream color. And then I was putting a lot of magenta, and that I let that one spread around into the flower, and it created a really nice effect in the middle, right? And this is like my kind of cosmos flower type, and I'm making a combination of red and blue leaves. And the way I do leaves is very easy. I just use the brush and the belly of the brush. I start very thin, and then I press down belly of the brush, and then I let it go. And if I want a more rounded leaf, I will just add more roundiness. For this particular card, to just add like a splash of color, I use the magenta with a lot of brown, and I made a really dark magenta version, and then I did those tiny leaves in there with that one. So that really made the colors pop and everything looking really nice. So it's always good to think about what is your contrast color. I was tucking in some extra flowers just because, well, you never know when you need some extra flowers. I thought like, okay, 3 flowers sounds like the good amount of flowers to have. And then I added some more pine tree sprigs. Now at this moment, usually my cats kind of wake up and they're starting to have fun. So I decided that the cards that I had were a little bit too big, so I wanted to be 5 inches by 3 4/8. So a little bit smaller than a normal size card, because I wanted the base of the card to show. So I grabbed my thin hole trimmer and I started trimming, but my cat literally didn't want to go away. My cat wanted to be present for the entire thing, so I had to make sure that whenever I was doing the guillotine, I don't cut the tail of the cat because the cat was like, oh, I want to see what's going on. I want to play with whatever mommy is playing there. So welcome, Meet Hub. This is my male cat, and he's like a very, let's say, naughty cat. And he enjoys sometimes painting with me. Well, he enjoys painting. He enjoys making a mess of things and trying to grab my pencil or smear my watercolors. Anyway, these were the 5 cards. Hello everyone, we see each other again at the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed the process of making these 5 cards. For me, it was a little bit out of my comfort zone because I tried to do loose style florals and watercolors, which is not necessarily in my cup of tea. But I am glad that I get to use also the stamps that I have and that I can do something handmade for the friends that I'm going to send these ones to. If you want to see more Christmassy content, we have a lot of playlists around, and I'm also posting content very regularly nowadays. So don't forget to click subscribe, and if you want to see more of this type of things, please do the like button. For different Christmas content, I'm going to link to 2 lists that you can see right about now, and you can go and check out either live streams about Christmas or different cards for Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!